It's podcast time, Jonny and Yusef, podcast time.
Some of the questions we get, and we're just like, sorry guys, it's also our first pandemic, so...
Yeah, we're new to this too. We're just trying our best as well. Leave us alone. I just want to say something I saw on Instagram that I thought was fantastic, which was a very Geordie man saying like, yeah, the other day I took me bin out, right? And I got a fucking round of applause.
My upstairs neighbour has taken up the drums and is having a lot more sex. But and it's directly above my bedroom and it's at all times of the day. So I think there's a dog pooing outside. No, it's not. It's fine. It's fine. That's off, right. That's going to be pushing so hard. But that's the choice that I've made by living here in front of a window where I can spot people pooing outside my house. So...
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. It's podcast time, Jonny and Yusef, podcast time. Welcome back, gentlemen. Very good to see you.
Good morning.
How are you?
Morning.
The Skype, can everybody see everybody?
Yeah.
At once?
Yeah, man.
So if when you're speaking, if I go...
Yeah, I can see you. I can see you making embarrassing reactions to what I say, yeah.
So for anyone that's listening, like the reason Johnny's asked that is because the previous episode we were using a different bit of software where if someone was talking, the other person could be like, and it was fine because you couldn't see them.
Yeah.
Whereas now we're all on view.
Yusef and Jonny are bothered about the fact that they can't be snide behind my back while we're doing the podcast or make funny faces. It's so lame. So what date is it? Saturday, April 4th, we're recording this. I think this will go out in just a couple of days. So, we just thought we'd do a catch-up episode. Obviously, this is the first time I've got to see either of you two, since the last one, since catch-up, which is kind of funny. Like, since Isolation Hacks, we haven't seen each other, and now we get to see each other again. It's like, podcast.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's also odd that all of our lifestyles have barely changed. Chris goes to the club less, but me and Jonny... Our lives are exactly the same.
Chris does CrossFit just somewhere else.
Do you mean Sundays at the Botanist and Wednesday nights at the Dog and Parrot? That's what you mean, isn't
it? It's when you do Riverside at Blanc. That's
it. Voodoo Mondays, Riverside at Blanc. Yeah, that's it. For those who don't know what we're on about, I've been friends with Yusef for nearly 10 years now. And in that entire time, he's never once got my portfolio of events correct. Like, he just keeps on. So it's a Wednesday, so you must be at work tonight, right? I'm like, Yusef, I've never run a Wednesday in my entire career.
You know, the drinks event that you run at the social club in Leeds.
Yeah, the parties that you do.
Yeah, it starts at 8 a.m., isn't it? 8 a.m. for 8:30, you get formal dress. So less time at that, but you are right. What's changed in your life, Blob? Because you just moved. I wanted to bring this up, actually. First thing I want to bring up, how anti-fragile is having a dog and a garden during lockdown.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I still go for walks. So what's changed, I suppose, the main change, and probably the main change is I would normally work somewhere else for like a few days in the week in the morning. So I'd go to a coffee shop or something like that. I remember the last visit I had to a coffee shop, actually.
Where was it? Where did you choose?
Hope it was in Costa in town. It was average, to be honest, but really good Wi-Fi. I feel like I could write a 50-page guide on how to select your coffee shop. But anyway,
I'd love that.
You walk in and everyone's like, sort of. This was there was talk of lockdown, talk of quarantine, signs everywhere saying we will not accept cash. And I nearly said to the person taking my order, why is that not just always the case? Maybe this situation wouldn't be quite as bad if people didn't hand each other bits of paper. You go to the till, you hand them a bit of paper, they give you a bit of paper
with cocaine and sweat. And people's,
then they give you a receipt, which just bumps your estrogen up. So the risk is viral. You catch a virus or
estrogen.
Yeah, you get some kind of long-term hormonal problem, or just a order a coffee.
Okay, so tell me
about. There's no one promoting the oat protes. What are they called? O-teens.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. When a guy like ran up to me to give me an O-team bar in Costa.
Your mate.
It's you through the door. Tell me what has changed then, apart from coffee shop visits, Blob.
So just, I suppose, like I would, in the evening, Becca and I would sometimes have plans. Like obviously, we would be doing these on a sofa in your house. Like this would be happening on an evening for like 3 hours, loads of bright lights. But that doesn't happen anymore. But like not much really. And I feel like a bit of a twat saying that because everyone's like, oh, it's all right for you, mate. But like, I suppose I feel like, so two really interesting things. One is I'm normally pretty bad for like worrying about my health. Like if I think I've got something wrong with me, like it consumes my thoughts for weeks. And I always assume the worst. So if it's like I have something tiny wrong with me, I assume it's horrendous. But at the moment, like I'm not that worried about this. But a lot of people I know are a lot more worried than they ever have been. And a lot of people are really struggling with being in the house and the sort of the isolation side of it. But I think the way it feels is like I've been dealing with sort of those worries for like years. So now it's just like, well,
everyone else has got them.
Yeah, it's like I think I've just had practice in both of the struggle points, which is like worrying about your health and being at home on your own, dealing with work just by yourself in front of a laptop. So that's fairly normal for me.
The guilt or whatever it is that you're referring to there of feeling a bit like a twat is something I've been dealing with as well. I don't know whether it's like a survivor guilt or whatever it might be, but the fact that it doesn't feel painful to me to live the life that I've always lived or have done for the last few years, like very little for me has changed. I did a poll on my Instagram ask people for questions, and there's definitely some people out there that are struggling a lot more. I mean, there's some people who message saying that they live on their own. This one girl said, me and my partner are going through a really difficult time at the moment, and we're self-isolating in different houses. So like, imagine trying to negotiate a relationship, like a bad relationship, when you're both locked down. Another person said, I'm really extroverted. I get super depressed when I'm on my own. And there's me loving life, like no longer having my sleep routine messed up. Like, don't get me wrong, I miss all my mates. I miss getting to see you guys. I miss going to work. I miss actually being at work and seeing the nightclubs and, getting that buzz and stuff. But there's part of me that just the novelty of doing more of stuff that I like to do is cool, and it'll wear off. But there's a guilt. There's like I don't know. I just feel like I shouldn't be this. It should be harder. I should be suffering more for being at home. And then there's the complete opposite end of the scale, which is Dr. Scone.
This is a really interesting point that not only the three of us are experiencing, but it's totally universal. And that is the lifestyle choices that you've made have consequences. Like, as obvious as that sounds, like you pay your money, you take your choice, and whatever way that you've set up your life, it has advantages in some circumstances and disadvantages in others. So I think there's a dog pooing outside. No, it's not. It's fine. It's fine. That's off my so hard. But that's the choice that I've made by living here in front of a window where I can spot people pooing outside my house. So this is my point, that you guys you've set up your life in such a way that during normal non-pandemic times, you have insecurity of income. You have lower scope for social life than others because of the hours that you do, or the people that you live with. That's a choice that you've made, and you have to be with them through thick and thin. And so what the advantage might be in one circumstance could be a disadvantage in the other, and vice versa. So your friend who's extroverted and needs human company, the way they've set up their life normally means they reap the advantages of that, but then when they're in lockdown, it's a bad thing. Vice versa for us. Like, equally, the job of a junior doctor can be a bit rubbish at times. But what I have got is the job security during a pandemic that someone who works in graphic design doesn't have. And so I don't see any of these things as an advantage or disadvantage. They're just the consequence of the decision that we've all made. And so I don't think you should feel guilty about it, because there will certainly be a time where you experience the blunt end of it as well.
Yeah, for sure. There was part of me at the very beginning. I wonder whether you felt this as well, Johnny. I was taking far too much pleasure in other people struggling to generate their own meaning and their own motivation. So I was seeing a lot of people saying, it's really hard working from home and I'm really not got a routine and I just keep eating because I'm constantly in the house. And, isn't it difficult when you're in your bedroom working as opposed to and I was like, yeah, you motherfucker. How do you think it's been for me for the last 10 years? Like, welcome to my world, bitches.
That's just feeling vindicated.
I should have let go, it took a week for me to work through that and for me to fully let go and be like, don't cathartically take pleasure in the fact that other people have entered your nightmare.
Yeah. Something I keep seeing people like entrepreneurs that I follow posting is the idea that like you always fall to the level of your training. Mm-hmm. And I think the thing that I have definitely witnessed a few sort of like people in my social circle kind of spin out of control a little bit with this happening. And I think but there's also people who've just continued as normal. So I do think it's, as Yusef says, like the choices you make of sort of building routines in your life, building habits in your life and trying to hold on to those. If the rest of your life kind of falls away around you, you've still got those aspects of consistency in your day. And I know it's difficult for people because for a lot of people, training and exercise and that is normally a fairly consistent, healthy habit they do. But there's still loads of other things that you can, like, as we discussed last time, like continue what you do in the morning, continue what you do in the evening, try and keep that structure. And then the frustration that comes with it and feeling like you're just sort of slipping into this putrid mess, progressively over the weeks, like that's not as bad. So
this is the like one man's crisis is the other man's opportunity. Like the three things that you've mentioned there, like you normally operate in a routine. During normal times, some people would be like, oh mate, that's so restrictive. Like you can't do the things. It's like, well, yes, but that's a double-edged sword because now when there is nothing else to do, you have the momentum of the routine and, your productivity hasn't changed. Mm-hmm. You've got a dog, which most of the time can be a ball ache, but during a pandemic, demand for dogs has gone up so much. Like all the dog adoption centers have completely maxed out.
Is this true?
Hedged against that. Like, like people are just desperately looking for, the home gym. Like, yes, that's a ball ache to set up and it's expensive to get and it's cold. But now, like, you're the winner with a home gym because
you've just described Jonathan Watson.
Like his training is just unaffected. Like the other day, he was like, Yusef just did a heavy Burkhan style deadlift session the other day. It's like, how many people can say that now?
Yeah,
that is
the thing is, even when you do the maths, like I don't think a home gym makes financial sense. Like when you add it up, like what it costs to sort of get what you need to train normally, I think it takes like 10 years to recoup it. But you have the ability to sort of control this little environment that you can manage. Yeah. No one's ever using your barbell. Like no one's ever like wants to squat rack.
That
you know what I mean?
Barbell over there.
There's always the alternative of what every fit pro on Instagram is doing, which is jump squats in their mum's conservatory and like doing presses with a can of beans. Or like,
have you got a banana? Why have you got a banana in your hand?
Well, it's my weight. It's the. Have you seen the guy the guy that's like all these people doing glute thrusts in their living room? That's like saying I'll get big biceps by doing that. And you're just like
the person I love watching the most is go and watch Eric Helm's training on Instagram because he's just doing it in a car park. So he's got like a basic barbell. He's got like a barbell and some like other basic kit, and he's just gone to like. It must be the car park of like his flat or something.
What? But he's just what nationality is he? Sorry,
he's American, but he lives in New Zealand. So he's at least I think so. Okay. But he's managing to put together like some pretty like sessions that I think I'd enjoy doing. But it's just the location. I love that he's like, no, I'm still going to have an area where I train, and it just so happens that area is going to be a public car park. Man, but he's like. Away from everything, and it's brilliant. So funny to watch.
I want to start a movement which is hashtag Pikey Lifting Club. And it includes all of the people at the moment, like me. So I had my doormats down on my decking the other day to protect them from the dumbbells that I was putting down. And Alfie Armstrong and Sonny Webster, I know at the moment, are both using wheelie bins as squat racks. So they're squat racking in and out of... So Sonny's got lifting blocks so that he can do like jerks from blocks. But it's just 2 wheelie bins. Apparently the wheelie bins...
I wouldn't trust wheelie bin being that strong.
Alfie's got 100 kilos on 2 wheelie bins, and they look pretty legit.
Just on the lid?
On the lid, yeah.
It's distributed though, isn't it?
50 kilos on each one, that's all right.
This would be a good way to do it. If you were able to shave the handle off, snap the handle off it, turn it upside down so that you've got the base. I bet the base is strong as fuck. You got that. Anyway, Pikey Lifting Club. If you've got any, if you are doing some Pikey lifting, I want to find out about it. So give me a message and let me know what you've been doing. So, Seth, like you are as frontline, you're the vanguard against this current situation. Tell us what it's like, man. Literally
the front line. It's quite nice to see the applause the other day out in the streets. Like that was quite sweet, quite heartwarming.
I was going to say, do you feel that? Do you as a health worker, do you feel that?
There's two parts to it. So the applause, like that was nice. It's nice to hear that the public appreciate it. Ironically, I only realized what it was about in retrospect because I was between night shifts and I was just like
annoyed at being woken up by all these fuckers clapping outside.
What's all this? Yeah, like you're too busy to like be able to take notice of it. But on the other hand, it's really nice to see that people actually do have some level of compassion, at least where we are. I'm sure there's like dicks in London or whatever that are just still ignoring the whole isolation thing. But it's always in London, isn't it?
It is.
But it's nice that everyone's actually been like, you know what? Yes, this is an illness that probably won't kill me, but for the sake of grandma, for the sake of the NHS, the older populations, all of this, we're gonna pile together and actually do something proper about this. And so seeing people observe a isolation quite strictly is quite nice, quite heartwarming to see, and it's not something I'd expected. And it seems like the UK, we did flatten the curve enough for us not to have this absolute mad spike that the likes of Italy are seeing. You know, we're not having to just like, you know, put people on ventilators in the car park and that kind of thing. So from that perspective, it's lovely. The other perspective, like a lot of companies, we get like 5% off Pizza Express or whatever, and you're like, I'd prefer a pay rise rather than just like, or 10% off Subway. The Costa in the hospital started offering free coffees for staff. Do you know how long it lasted for? 24 hours.
Oh my God. Why? Because they got pounded.
I guess so. Or just they were like, but whereas my perspective is like, Costa, if they know they're going under, they should just be like, let's just go out with a bang. Let's go out doing something. Like, we're making a massive loss anyway. Let's just give NHS staff a free drink, and then it at least looks good for PR on the way out.
I want to just sort of interject there. I know that it must suck right now, and if there's NHS staff listening, I apologise for how poorly you're being treated and paid at the moment. But thank you for your service.
That's the annoying part, because like we're being the hours and the nights and everything, they're only going to increase.
Yeah.
We're putting ourselves at a very high risk of additional viral load, plus the combination of being run down between nights, like sleep
perfect
cycle being
storm for you to become infected. And then if you become infected, that further strains the other healthcare workers that are beside you. Man, it is like it's literally like someone created in a virtual world. How would you make the healthcare service as vulnerable and as on a knife edge as possible? But when we reintegrate, which inevitably it's going to happen at some point, fucking better do.
Hopefully,
I know for a fact, man, that NHS workers are going to get. So I strongly predict free gym memberships for NHS workers. We'll be doing probably free entry into all of our club nights with an NHS thing for the next year, something like that. I imagine that a lot of businesses will try to repay NHS workers when they can. It's not our job to say what the NHS should pay you, although probably would be nice to be more. We can't control that. But as a small business owner, I imagine that, if you've got a Cafe 1901 in Jesmond or something like that, and you've got an NHS thing, it wouldn't surprise me if they say you've got 50% off your food, or you get free coffee or something. That would be lovely. Like that.
I think for the last few weeks, all the healthcare staff across the world have been crying for is like, can we just have a mask that fits properly? Like, can we just have the actual equipment that
I don't want a garlic bread. I want my I want the proper kit, please.
Yeah, exactly. I want to not be wearing a sock over my face.
Just before we go further down this, I just want to say something I saw on Instagram that I thought was fantastic, which was a very Geordie man saying like, yeah, the other day I took my bin out, right? And I got a fucking round of applause. I think the thing that, like, the silver lining of all this stuff is there's a few people, like a few very dry, very sarcastic people on social media who just spot these opportunities. Brilliant.
Yeah. Have you seen the one of the guy who was like, I was out in Tesco today and there wasn't much food available on the shelves, and I went to this couple and their trolley was absolutely full of stuff, and I said, excuse me, would you mind awfully sparing a couple of items for, and it was great, and they gave me some hummus and he's holding a gun and some tomatoes and some lemon juice, absolutely lovely. The other thing I feel so smug about is having the bum gun, the Shotdoffer. Bless you,
man. You've got scalable toilet paper.
Oh my god, it's incredible. So
you have I think. Just can you briefly describe what it is you've got in your bathroom for people that didn't listen to that Life Hacks episode?
Wall-mounted, high-pressure hose that you can spray at your bum, not in your bum, at your bum, to reduce the requirement for toilet roll.
High pressure hose makes it sound more rudimentary than it is. It's real nice chrome with a pressure. What's happened, Johnny? Have you had you're having a stroke?
Something. No, I've just remembered something. It's related to that about Wim Hof. Have you seen a photo of Wim Hof? Yeah. So have you seen a photo of Wim Hof's belly button?
No.
Right. So I'm doing his 10-week course at the moment.
Oh, wow.
Right.
Cool.
Which involved yesterday.
And out. It's not
Julian.
You know how I fix my scoliosis?
72 hours of yoga per day.
72 hours of holotrophic breathing per day.
I mean, that would be, tricky.
Yusef did that. He held a German lady's hand.
For hours?
3 hours. What a listening experience this must be. People are just like, what? This was this word salad.
Well, no, but if people, all of this is referenced in previous episodes, and if you don't know why Yusef held a German lady's hand, if you don't know why Johnny had an out of body experience, if you don't know who Wim Hof is, just go back, listen to the whole catalogue, and you'll know what we're on about.
Anyway, I was watching this video. I was like, he's got a really weird belly button. I'm going to find out why. So I googled, why does Wim Hof have a weird belly button? And someone's written a really long answer. I don't know whether this is true, but the guy claimed to be like involved in writing his book, but he didn't go too much into this story because when you hear why, it's like, oh my god, that's mental. So apparently, what happened was there's a fountain, right, where Wim often swims in, and he gives himself an enema on the fountain, and he was going to go do it again, but the time that he did it again, they turned the pressure up on the jet. And so it like cut through his whatever bits, and he needed like major surgery and stuff. So
Yusef, as a health professional, can you debunk or confirm whether or not Wim Hof has an outie now because he filled his abdomen up with water from it?
It's more than an outie.
Is it like a little willy?
Something's going on here. No, it just looks
like a little willy.
It just doesn't look normal. But apparently it's because, take that with a pinch of salt. Like, I don't know whether that's true or not. It's just what I read from one person. But if someone's made that up, like,
what a story.
Almost like fair enough. Fair enough.
It might just be a like post-surgical hernia that he's that he's developed from the rather than like the enema blowing out his belly button.
I don't think the water blew out his belly button.
Oh, okay.
I think it is from the surgery, but the water.
I feel like such an idiot if
that's what happened. Yeah, exactly. That's it.
Damn it.
Weakest point. Talking about personal protective equipment, have you seen that Rogue have started producing those clear face masks?
So that's another fantastic thing that I'm seeing with people pulling together that Rogue, Rolls-Royce, General Motors,
New Balance have stopped
Tesla,
making shoes.
Really?
New Balance have stopped making shoes to make face
People will
masks.
still be buying shoes because everyone suddenly, like, sorry, another tangent, but something I find hilarious is as soon as you tell people not to do something, like, how many people do you see jogging now that you've never seen jogging before?
Forbidden fruit.
Yeah.
They should say that counting macros increases the risk of catching COVID-19.
Do you not
like
mean
catching macros and doing a progressively overloaded training program 3-4 days a week has been found to increase the risk. So
you're not allowed? Wait, no. What you need is Boris to come out and say that you're not allowed to do it. Okay, so today I really need to warn you against progressive overload sets of between 6 and 10 reps.
Don't do it at all.
Absolutely not. And if your friends ask you to go and do reps between 6 and 10, you should say, "Fuck off." And that's it.
Have you seen the picture of Boris jogging?
No.
There's a picture of him like out jogging, like trying to set the example for, and it looks like a man has like taken the idea of jogging and thought, I'm going to implement this in front of the camera. Like he's wearing like a fleece and like khaki shorts, and
for fuck's sake,
just like Boris seen doing his daily exercise of the day, and you're like,
Jesus Christ.
You know when you wake up in the morning and there's a moment where like you forget what you've got to do today, or like you forget what you were worrying about yesterday, and for that like brief window, and then you're like, oh fuck yeah, I've got that on. Like that just must be every day for him now.
It's every second.
Like,
pandemic to deal with.
I'm prime minister. Oh, brilliant. Oh,
yeah.
Relax.
Well, what about
I've got all these huge decisions?
Him and isn't Rishi's both also infected now as well, right?
I don't know.
I think so. I think that's why he's not been doing the briefings. But him and Boris, it's like, imagine the fact that not only have you got to try and run the country, but you've now got to try and do it from from your house.
Remotely.
Yeah.
Remote prime ministering.
Yeah.
There was a few people kicking off on Twitter when they were like, how come Boris gets a test for coronavirus and I don't get one? And you're like, Karen?
I saw one that accused Sharon, and it was like, why did Boris get a test and I didn't? And someone had put it in a tweet and said, because he runs the country, Sharon, and you ask for the doctor's phone number on Facebook.
That was it, yeah. Sorry, Karens. It was Sharon.
If there's a Karen or a Sharon listening, we don't mean you. We mean your mum.
There was the picture of like I can't remember who, she's some kind of like public figure, and she's got I want to speak to the manager haircut, and she tweeted, Americans need to know when this is going to end for all small businesses, and someone responded being like, so what you're saying is you want to speak to the manager of coronavirus.
Yeah, so good, man.
One man has been commenting on every single ad we are running at the moment. Like he's methodically running his way through every variation, which is quite a task. Like that, it's taking quite a while, and everything just says, does your free thing that you're giving away take into account COVID-19 and the effect on the economy? It's like, well, like no, not really, mate. But like, what's your alternative?
How would you?
Should no one use anything or do anything?
Well, I mean, how
do
you propose that you're supposed to change it anyway? Like, what would you do that would be different?
Exactly.
Some of the questions we get, and we're just like, sorry guys, it's also our first pandemic, so.
Yeah, we're new to this too. We're just trying our best as well.
I'm just
leave us alone.
Trying to do me job. I want to briefly segue here. PTs, any fitness pro that's listening, obviously now is the perfect time for you to actually learn how to run a business online. Propanebusiness.com.
Oh God, Chris, no. Chris,
which one is it?
Don't get it wrong. Propanefitness.com/modern wisdom.
That's it. Propanefitness.com/modern wisdom, and you will get a free. Is it still the 7-step thing? The 7-step PDF, or have you changed it?
So it's just the exact 7 steps you would need to start a really like highly systematized functional online business. So
that's all.
No big deal.
Just the 7 steps, and it's just free as well. So
go and sign up, man. Honestly, like
it is good. We've had some really good feedback from Modern Wisdom listeners about it. So.
Amazing, man. I got a bunch of messages about the how to become an online coach thing again. If you haven't heard that, that's unbelievable. In fact, just go and listen to that. Go and listen to that. And if you don't like the sound of being an online coach, don't do it. But
it was brilliant. Everyone came out watching that like this.
Yusuf's put a banana up to his face.
Big smile on her face,
passive, doesn't he?
Big smile.
There is this weird. I got asked yesterday by, I think someone who found us through Modern Wisdom actually, but he was saying, surely it's never going to work because everyone's trying to be an online coach and like everyone's using a live video, everyone's doing a story.
Just so you know, all right, man. I'm not being funny, right? I'm not being funny. But how the fuck's this all going to work? Oh my God! Sorry, I need to interject here. Have you looked at the complete torpedoing of his life that Billy Joe Saunders, the boxer, has managed to do in the last 7 days?
No.
Right. So Yusuf, you might not know who Billy Joe Saunders is. British boxer.
I don't know.
Okay, British boxer. Billy Joe Saunders, boxer. So he was lined up to have a huge fight. Absolutely massive fight, which has been rearranged. In the time over the last couple of days, he rang an airport that his friend was flying out of to tell them that his friend had coronavirus while he was on the plane. So his friend then got pulled off and detained with his other buddy. And Billy,
just to grass up his mate?
Just because he thought it'd be funny, because he's bored. And so that's the first one. That's the first one, right? Remembering this guy's a fucking professional athlete. That's
mid-flight. They detained him.
No. So it's on the runway. So he rings him, and he FaceTimed his friend while his friend was sat in the passenger seat, knowing that this was going to happen, and heard the beep boo. Can Derek Knowles please come to the? And it's like, and so that happened, and then first off, you've done that, right? Like awful time to do it, and that was in the press, and then he's boxing in his garage with a punching bag, and he's saying to the punching bag, "So, guys, you might be at home, and your old lady might be giving you a bit of stick, and you might be getting a little bit sort of annoyed by it. So, you know, what you want to do, yeah? She's coming towards you. She's riled up, yeah? She's angry. What you want to do? You want to pop!" And he throws a punch at the bag, and he goes, "So she's stunned, right? She's going, what the fuck's going on? Oh my God." And then what you want to do, you want to just turn and pop, and you finish her off. And then you've got the rest of the afternoon in peace. This video, it's a video, and it got leaked, and now he's banned from boxing for life.
That's like somebody, you know, like what the equivalent of a frape is, but in someone's body. It's like if someone woke up and had like 24 hours in that man's body to be like, right, how can I just...
What could I do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did he post that video on his social media?
So I've seen the video. I don't know. It's in a WhatsApp group. It's long. It's like a minute and a half long. So I'm going to guess maybe just in a WhatsApp group, but it's got leaked, and now professional boxing license revoked. Everything else, that's a proper 1-2 punch combination of how to annihilate your own life, isn't it?
Like those 2 punches ended his career.
Yep.
How can you recover from that?
Well, you can't.
You can't.
Like, done.
Because his brand as well. Like even if you try and launch like a box tutorial online,
self-defense for women, that would be brilliant way to pivot now.
Fuck me. This is a total segue. Someone who's really pivoted their brand really well, I'm really impressed, but I'd highly recommend everyone go and watch a couple of his videos, is Eddie Hall's YouTube channel. It's
unbelievable.
Fantastic.
Man, he's nailed
it. Fantastic. I just love how he doesn't take himself, like the one with him and Ross Edgley. Have you seen that where they go swimming in the lake?
Mm-hmm.
I just love how like Eddie just walks out like in Budgie Smugglers. He's a huge bloke, quite lean now, but just throws himself into anything.
Is he not younger than us as well?
He's our age. He's in between all of our ages. Yeah, he's I think 31 maybe. And despite when he was at the peak of strongman, he looked like 50.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're totally right, man. There's one with, I think, either Niall or his buddy that he did.
The gymnast.
Yep, that was awesome.
Yeah.
He did one with Jamie Johal about bodybuilding does strongman. That was really fun. He's sponsored by Boohoo Mat. Like, he's so trendy. Apart from the way that he looks and the way that he sounds, he's so trendy.
I just really. So he's got like a proper intro. He's clearly got someone to help him do it.
Yeah.
He's made a proper go.
Did you see him do? Sorry, did you see him do? Was it Grace or Isabel at the European Championships?
Seriously,
have you not seen this?
No,
Jonathan, go and watch it. Go and watch it as soon as we're done. I can't remember whether it's Grace or Isabel. I think it must be. I can't remember. So it's either 30 clean and jerks or 30 ground to overhead snatches for time at 62 kilos for men. And obviously Eddie Hall essentially just does an RDL into a good morning into a front raise. Like, that's the movement. And he just goes, bah, bah, bah. I'm pretty certain,
like for him, isn't it?
Mate, I'm pretty certain he's got the world record in it. The same way that, what's his face broke the 100 meter.
Brian Shaw.
Yeah.
Marius.
Yeah.
Pudzianowski.
That was Brian Shaw on the, do you mean Brian Shaw on the rower?
Yeah.
Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
What was Marius
I think Marius
Pudzianowski? What did he win at?
He was a Polish strongman. I think he got a really good time, and then other strongmen started being like,
yeah, I can do it. Yeah. What other
Marius was like the strongman that was just like peeled all of the time. Like, there's loads of footage of him doing like a farmer's walk with like full like forearm vascularity, striations in his bicep, and everyone's like, "What? Like, who's that?" But he like used to win loads of events while being like bodybuilder condition constantly.
What else
really
have you been? So one of the most common questions I'm seeing posted online at the moment is any good books, podcasts, Netflix series / movies to watch or whatever else. What have you guys been consuming? I guess you, Seth, must be just get
consuming
home,
nothing.
sleep.
Normal life, yeah.
Yeah, well, just desperately trying
medical
to
information.
survive.
Yeah, so for me, I've not got a very good answer to that. I've seen half of an episode of Tiger King.
Brilliant.
Not Lion King.
Which Chris mentioned yesterday. He said, Yusef, that's the equivalent for you of watching a back-to-back Lord of the Rings triathlon.
Yeah, it is. Watching half an episode. I'm surprised that you got through half an episode. It is brilliant. You haven't seen that yet, have you, Johnny?
So I got that message from so Becca and I tried to watch it like a week ago. Got like half an hour in and we're like, it's a bit weird. Might give up on this. Kept seeing stuff on Instagram about it. Kept saying to her like, there's a lot of stuff about this series. Like it is number one in the UK. Then you sent me that message and I was like, Yusef's watched half of it. Like, if Yusef's watched a bit of it.
And what did she say? Did she say,
absolutely canary?
Oh my
She was like, oh, fine. So like last night we like made it through, like, I think we're on the second episode. And
That's a good marketer.
Slowly, it sort of the curtains, and I'm like, oh, okay, felt like fair enough. Like, this is
so,
but yeah.
You know,
I don't know what to say.
You know,
to be honest,
on Facebook, you can mark yourself safe from natural disasters. So there's like tsunamis and things, and it's like Jonathan Watson has marked himself safe from the Thailand tsunami or whatever. I saw on Facebook the other day someone who had marked themselves safe from that bitch Carol Baskin.
Do you remember what was that TV? It was either a single episode or it was a series where like there was like an abduction and it ended up with like the dad like giving the bloke a hand job in a car.
Oh fuck!
And like
Fire Festival. No.
You've delved into Yusef's 2 Netflix series repository of information that he's got there. Yeah.
I'd be so bad on like these game shows where they're like, topic is movies. I'm like, great, I've seen 3. Okay, I can do this.
I hope it's one of them.
Is it Fight Club? No, right.
So I'm out. That's it. I'm off. Yeah, I know the one.
Brad Pitt.
Yeah, I know the one that you mean, Johnny. So, okay, you've not been consuming an awful lot, Seth. What have you been watching or listening to or enjoying, Johnny?
Well, so that's the thing I've just started watching. Ozark is just, in my opinion, the best thing on TV, mainly because I just really like the main character. Why? Jason Bateman's character.
He's an accountant.
He is an accountant, but it's more like, and you'll see this from the first series, he's plunged into a very stressful situation. Like he's being pursued by a Mexican cartel because he's involved in laundering money for them. And they find out he's been doing some naughty things or whatever. I'll not ruin it for people. But he just remains completely calm the entire time. And he's like, his wife's like panicking. He's just like, it's okay. We'll go here, do this, go there. They probably won't be able to find us. It'll all be fine. And he's just always on his laptop looking at the high level, looking at the spreadsheet to how to solve the situation.
I love it.
It's brilliant.
So good.
Brilliant. So that,
what else?
Liar
You, Chris?
on BBC.
Liar.
Go on. Sorry.
Liar on BBC. What's that?
Liar. Yeah. So it's in the second season now. I think the first, it might be on ITV actually. Basically, there's a surgeon who, I don't know how to say this without ruining the story. He gets accused of raping someone, and then the season unfolds. The story unfolds. It's very good.
British actors, British drama.
It's the guy who played Hornblower. It's like, nope. I only know him. So like, I looked him up on IMDb. I looked him up on IMDb, but the thing I remember, like, I just remember seeing an episode when I was like 8 of Hornblower on TV, and I was like, "Oh, that's the guy who played."
That's a fella that played Hornblower.
Loads of stuff. Like,
just so you know.
Just so you know. He's very good.
Not being funny, right?
Not The Lion King, but Tiger King.
Yep.
I got an Apple TV trial.
All right.
I want something called The Servant by M. Night Shyamalan.
So they're not only a stick, but also a production studio as well.
So they've now basically made their own Netflix, yeah. Good. And as you'd expect from Apple, like pretty much every single one of the like Apple originals has got like Jennifer Aniston in, or like, you know, they've all got bit like Hollywood actors.
Big swinging.
Yeah. Well, because it's like, what do you do when you've got $1 trillion of cash? You're like, well, we'd like to make something that's like as good as Netflix.
Do you reckon Jennifer Aniston gets paid in cash? I reckon she does.
I don't know. I think it's probably has to go into a bank account.
Shame.
If you watch Ozark,
it's only Apple that could step in and be like, we'll have a go at Netflix. Like,
yeah,
we'll
just have a crack.
On.
Yeah, John, do you fancy starting up Apple Studios? Well, yeah, no worries, I will. Cool stuff.
John Apple.
Cool stuff that I've consumed recently. I sent you guys the link to that Fat Tony video, didn't I? The guy that spent £1 million on drugs. I put it in the Big Dicks group on WhatsApp.
Is it someone that you've just
booked on the podcast as well? Yeah. So Mixmag uploaded a Facebook video. Why would you? Anyway, so they uploaded this really well produced, full documentary, 20-minute documentary, edited, archive footage, interviews with him and his mum following him around. It's just this guy who at the age of 16 managed to kind of spawn his way into being a DJ, and then became best friends with Boy George, Paris Hilton, like everyone, every single, gave, who's that famous British model that loves drugs? Female.
I don't know, Chris.
Get the London look. You will do. Like, oh my God.
Bradley Pitt.
No.
Yeah.
Kate Moss.
Right.
Kate Moss, 15-year-old Kate Moss giving her Long Island iced teas in a school uniform outside of the club like 30 years ago or some shit. So anyway, it's just this epic story. And I messaged him on his Facebook fan page and was like, hey man, this is cool as fuck. I want to get you on the podcast. Would you do it? And he said, yeah. So that's pretty fun. That'll be good. He was DJing for Harvey Nichols last night, live stream. Like, so he's huge time. So
doing quite well.
That was interesting. If you want to go watch that, that's cool. Ben Shapiro's podcast right now is a godsend because he does it every day, Monday to Friday, 1 hour, and it recaps the last 24 hours. Usually it means he's got to really delve into the depths of news to find something that's interesting. So it's really dispersed. But because there's so much happening every day, at the moment, you get to know where the current death rates are. You get to find out what policies are happening that are going well and what are going badly. So he is producing content now at the cadence that you want someone to produce content.
That sounds really useful, actually, because trying to find a synthesized version of because the only thing that I've been defaulting to, which is Ben's recommendation, if you're listening, Ben, thank you, is Worldometer, which just has global graphs, trend lines, logarithmic scales of things, new cases, recoveries, and deaths. But
that's not really the work there, right? As well, it's you're driving to work or doing whatever. Ben Shapiro's podcast, man. Every morning now, part of my morning routine is listening to that while I cook. So yeah, you get an episode. In the UK, you'll be listening on a Tuesday up until on a Saturday, and then you get Sunday, Monday off because he takes the weekend off. But he's brilliant. Like, he's absolutely amazing. The only thing I would say is if you are listening, every time that he goes, we'll come back to that in just 1 second, immediately say, hey, Siri, skip forward 90 seconds, because that's the beginning of
Does that work with Siri?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's why you need AirPods, man.
That's cool.
Look at your face.
There we go.
What are the stuff have I been consuming that's been cool? I mean, I've really been super impressed by Ben Shapiro's podcast. Tiger King was awesome. The Vietnam War documentary by Ken Burns, fucking sick. The UK and US Office have both just been put on, I think, Netflix, or maybe there've been extra episodes added. Some of my housemates have been watching that.
I really like the US Office.
It's better than the UK one, I think. In some respects.
It's is it Steve Carell?
Yeah,
is that the character? Like, he can do no wrong. Like, I just really enjoy how he muddles his way through and ends up doing quite well. Really funny, good. I watched something last night called Official Secrets, a film with Becca.
All right,
it's about the theory that evidence was doctored to start the Iraq War.
Shit.
Good.
So is it? Oh, it's dramatized. Oh, I have seen that. It's a British thing, right? And she goes to that lady's cottage and is like, "Oh, will you leak this thing for me?"
Yeah.
So my brother sent me a WhatsApp voice message. It was 30 minutes long. It wasn't him. It was like a forward from something, and it was like, "Listen, brothers and sisters in faith, this is really important, scientifically, logically, and practically." Because what is happening here is a huge cover-up, and you need to know this as people of faith. We need to raise our vibrations because the setting up of 5G is what is causing the coronavirus. There is no such thing as contagion. There is no such thing as virus. When the 5G comes on, it releases toxin out of your cells, and it has to come out of your mouth. And nobody has ever proven that a virus can be contagious. We even took the sputum, the phlegm out of someone with flu, injected it into someone else, and we could not reproduce it. It is 5G. It is causing our cells to, and it's like, it is to make the people more obedient. And I started playing it in the doctor's office, and everyone was just like, keep that on. No, just...
Just slowly riling everyone up and getting them really, really angry.
I've seen quite a bit. I've been sending it to Yusef. Like, there's a few guys that we vaguely follow who are coaches, but have a certain set of beliefs that aren't necessarily very evidence-based. And they say
very diplomatic, Johnny.
Yeah. So he's been saying like, this is all just, it's 5G, and like, we saw the same guy say, if you like get ill, don't go to hospital, like go into the forest and let nature heal you and all that sort of stuff. Like, I think I'm all up for everyone having an opinion until it's dangerous. And then I think it should just be regulation to stop.
I mean, luckily at the minute, I think what's happening is that unnecessary admissions are likely to drop in hospitals, because now the risk of being in hospital is much worse than the risk of being out of hospital. And so if there's something and I think this is going to be a huge shift for healthcare as a whole in 6 months' time, because now that we've got the infrastructure, but it's never really been used as its capacity, is that there's going to be a shift towards online consultations and away from a lot of stuff that doesn't need to be done in person. And I think this is probably the catalyst for that, where they're starting to realize that so many things, so many like inefficiencies that were previously just let to carry on. Now where they're like, oh, actually we're forced to really keep people out of hospital at any cost. It's going to cause this huge cultural shift, like not only with healthcare, but with attitudes towards, even just socially, people are going to come out and realize what they've been missing, the social interactions that they've been having, and
the companies that like haven't invested in IT. Sorry.
Oh yeah, massively. And what was it? Is it Naval Ravikant was talking about? I think it was him talking about maybe 20% of the workforce. I can't remember if we said this on the last one. He said like about 20% of the workforce have just like silently been able to just get grandfathered into whatever they're doing in the company, and they're just in the corners of the offices and they don't really do anything, but no one's ever kind of questioned it. And actually, if they were to just be eliminated from the workforce, nothing would change.
Man, I couldn't agree more. There's so much fat in companies, and especially when you look at big bureaucratic organizations, probably in knowledge work, not so much in ops and logistics and like real shit. The number of team leaders, area managers, office managers, like all of that sort of stuff, the people who aren't either making the main decisions at the top or nose to the grindstone at the bottom, all of those ones are going, they should really be worried, and rightly so. If you're a business who can rip out 20% of your costs during this period and really look. So I spoke to Mike Winnett. Mike, all right, guys, it's my entrepreneur. Spoke to Mike Winnett. He was, imagine this, sorry. Mike was on holiday in the Canary Islands with his friends when the lockdown occurred.
Oh, God.
So he was locked in a hotel.
The Canary Islands, because it's tax haven, or just for...
Oh, so it was holiday, like Easter holiday with his kids or something? Yeah. So he's locked there. So anyway, he came back, and I asked him, I was like, hey, man, like, how's everything going? And he's like, I'm forced now to really look at the processes and the operations within my business and refine them down to their component parts. Had this guy called Mike McAllowitz on last night as well, wrote a book called Fix This Next, which has just come out. And it's, what he's talking about is absolutely perfect. It's like, if you don't have a procedure that is how to be Jonathan Watson .doc in your business, so that you could, and you guys have been saying this for years, the EMyth thing, I think that you always quote, where it's like, if you can't exit the business and the business run without you because there's processes and procedures and order in place, like there's a big hole that's missing.
Well, it's just that you've created a job, you've not created a business.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, that's it is going to be interesting to see sort of where businesses go. So Sonny Webster asked me this on a IG Live the other day, and I thought it was a really cool question. So let's do a little roundtable of 2 things that we've been extra grateful for, that we're grateful for during this period, and 1 thing that we miss the most. Johnny?
One thing I miss the most is just seeing people, I think. Like spending time in person with like friends and family. 2 things I'm grateful for. It's quite a long list, to be honest. Like, grateful I don't have coronavirus. Grateful none of my immediate family do, or friends. But like, in terms of probably what you're asking the question for, I think we've been really grateful for the way our business is set up. Like, we don't have like debt, we don't have really high costs. It's all pretty easy to pivot and adapt, and it feels very much like as Yusef said at the start, like the risks that we took several years ago. Kind of like the tables have turned a little bit, and actually what we're doing is now pretty stable compared to some industries, which feels like
so
to
bizarre.
be.
Yeah,
like
you're the safe and stable people now somehow.
Like the people, I was hearing that like dentists are in quite a high risk job now, and you like when in history has dentistry ever been considered to be like not stable? It's bizarre, but now
mad,
like
isn't it?
Running a fitness business on the internet's like you'll probably be all right, mate.
Yeah.
It's just like it's weird. So that, and then I think hugely coincidentally for me, the start of this year was like, right, I'm going to really like. We spoke about this in the podcast. I'm going to really like buckle down on like my morning routine every day, wake up at the same time every day, like doing stuff like cold showers and Wim Hof and like stuff to make me feel good. I feel like that I was doing it for like 90 days almost, and then it was like lockdown, and you're like,
here we
like
go.
I feel like mentally in like a better place than I have been previously, and more consistent with stuff. So grateful that I'd been doing that up to now. Because I felt
so good things for your HRV as well, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm so happy. Yeah. I'm so happy with watching. I'm happy and jealous in equal measure watching the progress you've made over the last 90 days, especially as someone for whom I wouldn't have presumed there was lots of low-hanging fruit left. It's not like this is your first foray into personal development, and you're like, oh, well, I started sleeping with my phone outside of my bedroom, and I was like, oh my God. And then I turned the speed up on my trackpad, and I went, I'm moving so much faster. I downloaded this program called Alfred. To see someone who you already presume is somewhere close to the top of their game make an outwardly noticeable, like, upgrade is pretty legit. So I'm super happy for you, man. I think that is cool. Really, really cool.
Yeah, it's been good.
Seth, what about you?
Yeah, so I've got lots of mini things. The thing I miss the most is being at home, like just being able to spend time at home, which is ironic because
it's all right for you, mate.
Yeah, because I think I'm just jealous of everyone who is able to be at home and self-isolate and has so much opportunity to do loads with it. But as you said, Chris, like the challenge then is being able to capitalize on that when you're not used to it and having to actually, you've got so many hours of the day to then be able to do something with it. Many things that I'm looking forward to and grateful for. So cashless payments, as Jonny said, like it's well overdue. I can't wait for the Apple Card. No. This is in order of increasing importance. So capacity for medical equipment, so ventilators, and having like motor companies being able to create ventilators, like independent open sourcing of 3D printing for making extra tubes and valves, and it's like that is fantastic, and it's all this capacity that we already had, but just being able to then say like people with 3D printers at home and not doing bot all with it, and suddenly they're like, right, here's what we can actually put this effort into. Grateful for family, especially older relatives, and just thinking like, actually, I've taken these people for granted, but something like this, when someone has limited health reserve, like a small knock can completely throw them off off balance, as well as my own health, and all of our health is still not something that's guaranteed. And I think even though we're young, it's made everyone rethink their mortality a little bit and think actually like young people can die from this as well. And so access to healthcare and the fact that we can, maintaining our own health is within our hands is great. So maybe I was a bit cynical about people that are like going out for jogs just because they've been told not to. Like perhaps it is that they're also motivated by like, oh, now I need to get into shape and, I need to go outdoors. And so that's certainly, those are some things I'm grateful for. Something I'm less grateful for is, well, go ahead.
It's just related to that. What's the guy called who's a competitive eater whose name's Pete?
Furious Pete.
Yeah, so he got diagnosed with testicular cancer, like, I don't know, like a couple of years ago, I think. And I saw a video of him like telling his followers about it. And it's obviously very emotional, but something that he said, and something that I think I've realized recently, is he said like when he was diagnosed, a lot of people when they get something like that, like they become more aware of their mortality. Obviously that's a lot more severe than what we're all going through, but or a lot more sudden, I should say. So he said like, I realized I just wouldn't do anything differently. Like I like my life how it is. Like a lot of people have a shock like that and they're like, right, I need to change how I approach my health. I need to change in my career and all these sorts of things. And he was like, nope, just would be doing exactly the same thing. Like wouldn't change anything.
That is really cool.
So good.
Nice as a confirmation, if that's how you feel. But also like, if you get through this and you don't get the virus or you don't have serious effects from it, and all your family and your friends are okay, like it's actually a great thing to have happened to just remind you, like, by the way, like all the stuff you kind of take for granted all the time, it's not guaranteed. Like, do you need a course correction?
Yeah, that is brilliant. And to be able to have that realization and be like, you know what, I'm pretty happy with how things have gone is amazing. Like if anyone hasn't seen Furious Pete, like he's awesome. There's a video where he drinks a bottle of olive oil, one where he drinks so these are different like macros. He drinks, or he has a tub of whey, just like with it, just makes it into a paste and just pounds it in about 6 minutes. There's one where he drinks a gallon of honey, 4,700 grams of carbs.
He'd be great to have on Modern Wisdom.
He actually would. He's a lot of fun.
Yeah,
cool.
He's got some really like strong aspects to his character that I think he's put himself through he's been through a lot of stuff, and has still just got a great outlook. I don't know.
That's cool. What was the thing that you were less grateful for, Seth?
My upstairs neighbour has taken up the drums, like chosen this is the time to take up the drums, and is having a lot more sex. But like and it's directly above my bedroom, and it's at all times of the day because no one has any schedule anymore. And the headboard. So the reason I can differentiate between drums and sex is that the sex doesn't have a defined tempo and accelerates and then stops suddenly, and it's against the wall. So like, as in the headboard banging against the wall. Like, on one hand, I'm quite impressed with how much of a like stallion the boyfriend is, because it goes on for ages, and just multiple times a day at random times. But it's very disruptive, especially when you're trying to record something, and it's a very difficult problem to have, to be like, excuse me, I'm trying to record, can you just keep down the intercourse for a minute?
Have you signed up to our free webinar? Because if you have, you'll hear yourself in the background. So can I want to just delve, let's do a deep dive on this. Can we talk about cadence, please? I mean, are we like is he a
bit faster?
Okay, that's maintained. And be slower than that.
But it's like intermittent.
He varies the pace then.
Whereas the drums, you can hear like different kit of the drums, and it's different kit.
Yeah. Okay.
Like
what's the average?
Snare,
what's the average duration?
30 to 40 minutes. Which
is an average cadence of.
It does vary. So he periodizes it a bit.
And that's multiple times a day.
Hell.
It's like 1 a.m. and stuff, and you're just like,
So here's something for you, right? And it's not necessarily related to that, but it's on the same theme. I have just bought the best eye mask I've ever used.
Explain. Tell us more.
I think it's called like Alaska Bear. I think it's called. Okay. It was like 15 quid. So there's concave. So there's like circles that press around your eyes that are very soft. Mm-hmm. So you can move your eye, you can blink and move your eyes. There's nothing actually pressing your eyes. Problem I always have with eye masks, I pull them off in the night because it feels too pressured on my face. With these, I don't have that. And the rings basically create as close to a full suction because they're foam. So they adapt to the contours of your face. So we have on the other side of our bedroom a kid who plays video games until. I mean, it's not quite the same, like, but it's a similar problem. So I'm like, I've been having this thing in my mind of like, I should just get like a full head sleep kit that can just drop in, like drop into
earplugs and
yeah. Like you see these things that are like full like wrap around with noise cancelling stuff put in them. And you should get one of them.
Funnily enough, just so you know, the episode which went out on Monday just gone. In podcast land, because this is going to go out on Thursday, the episode which went out on Monday just gone is Ben Greenfield talking about his entire daily routine from waking until sleeping at night, including every product he uses, all of the different sleep masks, what he does a fucking oil pull in his mouth after he uses a copper tongue scraper, and it's a combination of coconut.
Talk about this, yeah.
Mate, it is must be 100+ things that he drops, but he's got the brand of eye mask he uses, the brand of blue blocking glasses that he uses, like everything full works. And
I've listened to, he was on the Whoop podcast, I think. I've listened to him talk about it, and he just mentions these things like, and then I go in this room and I use this like chili wave, and then I use the Z mask, and then these things, and I'm like looking all these up. I was like, that's $5,000, that's $10,000. That's 1,500 quid. Yeah. And you're just like, bloody. I mean, I'm sure he gets it for
nothing,
some kind of sponsorship deal.
Man, so he told me about this feature. So I thought that we were pretty leveled up by having sunrise alarm clocks and by being woken up by light. Like, those fucking prehistoric
plebs.
the proletariat down there getting woken up by sound like it's the 1900s. Fuck them. Ben Greenfield sleeps on a chili mat, and I didn't realize that the chili mat has a function where it can heat up at a time or cool down at a time, so you can be woken up by heat or cold. Holy fucking shit.
However, anyone can do that right now. Like, just thermostat.
Yeah.
Put heater on a timer for the morning and just full blast
I think the main
6 a.m.
reason that he has it that way is because he sleeps on one side and his missus sleeps on the other.
Oh, they've got differential.
Oh, they've got
things,
different. They've got
Yeah.
different settings, yeah, which is just.
Why is there not an eye mask with lights in it?
There is.
Oh, is there? And do they light up at a time?
Sorry, but it's not designed to wake you up. It's designed to induce lucid dreaming. So it detects when you're in REM sleep and it starts flashing in a certain pattern, designed to keep you asleep, but to like trigger that you are dreaming, and then
That's
you can have a
interesting.
lucid dream.
That's funny. So I'll do a couple of the things that I've been grateful for and some stuff that I miss. Definitely grateful for mum and dad's health. Like, that's just, you totally do. I'm also grateful that they have each other and have the dogs, because again, hearing about older people, like people's parents, people's grandparents, living on their own at the moment, fearing for your health, like, it must be just so challenging. So yeah, super grateful for that. For me as well, like the trading circle thing that I have been a part of for the last few months, I got added to this managed trading account, and the returns that they've seen, especially recently, have been fantastic. So the fact that I have a source of income coming through that, which is very anti-fragile given the current situation, I literally can't believe like the returns on that, which is great. And also the opportunity to do these podcasts, like that's, I'm doing next week, I've got 6 episodes booked in, and it doesn't feel laborious, because like that's what my day now is. That's my work bit of the day, and then all the other stuff. And thing that I miss seeing you two, miss going out for like sauna, chicken coop, like getting to.
Have you wondered what's happening to the sauna? Like, do you reckon the owner is just using it as his private sauna, or is it just molding? Is it just
it's got to be turned off, man. I mean, it must sap a lot.
Is it not just at Jesmond Pool, or would you go somewhere else now?
Yeah, Jesmond Pool, but it must be sapping a lot of energy.
Yeah, it costs a lot.
I think
to
they'll
run
just
monthly.
have it turned off.
Yeah, if they keep it on, that's very ballsy.
Almost certainly. Yeah.
It's going to stink when they come back in.
Why?
I have a client who's he's like a PT at a leisure centre, and he was saying that there's like a concern over like maintaining the pool and stuff like that, because obviously it's just a big vat of like chlorine water that a lot of the time has circulation to keep it
running. Yeah.
But like, I don't know how you then, like, when you come back, do you need to like fully drain it and then refill everything?
I think just pull the plug at the beginning of the pandemic, and
drain it.
Imagine if
it becomes a little tennis court.
You get opened up back into the real world after 3 weeks, and you've got to find whatever, like 3 million cubic feet of water, cubic liters of water, or whatever the fuck it is. Like, what did that?
There's like the right level of chlorine, the right temperature. It's not
nightmare.
A swimming pool's not just like from the tap. It's
just leave the tap running overnight, and it'll be fine.
The hose pipe in.
Fine in the morning.
Well, I thought like if you just get a bucket and 2 blokes just going back and forth, fill up the bucket from the tap, pour it in.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah. Yeah.
Look, gents, thank you so much for coming on. propanefitness.com/modern wisdom for those online fitness professionals and people who think that they want to start making a pivot. Where else should they check out? So we never even plug your stuff. We never even say like, you should go and check them out at this, because we just presume that they already follow you.
That. I mean, if they're not, then what are you doing? Yeah. But we have 2 main audiences. So for the business stuff, anyone wanting to do that, it's propanefitness.com/modern wisdom. Remember, it's propane as in the gas, not stance on pain. And for the fitness,
pain.
We are not.
I get that question constantly.
Anti-pain, yeah.
Yeah, and for the fitness crowd who just want to get in better shape, especially during this period, go to propanefitness.com/calculator, or just propanefitness.com. We also have a free self-isolation bodyweight program which we're just giving away for free, no strings attached, just to help you guys out during this time.
And crucially, we're not pivoting our entire marketing around bodyweight programs or live videos.
You'll see no jump squats in the Mom's conservatory.
I love it, man. Look, boys, thank you so much. I think we should try and we've done this. This was 2 weeks ago that we did the last one. If we can get another one in a weekend coming up soon, you are by far the most requested of all guests, which is ridiculous.
Crazy.
I can try and book on Ben Greenfield or Aubrey Marcus, and they're like, no. Have you got that Arab and the one with the really long legs again? Because
the Captain Hook guy,
yeah, man who look like Captain Hook, and that Aryan one, yeah. Have we got?
He doesn't look like as much of a giant now that the perspective's normal.
No,
but
you've got nothing to compare him to, though.
Well, normally I'm sat like next to the camera, aren't I?
Yeah. Fisheye lens, just
next to one of the cameras.
Sorry, can I? Before we finish off, this is a public service announcement to everyone else that's suffering with the same thing I am. I cannot stop eating. I can't stop eating at the moment because I'm never leaving the house. I'm constantly near the kitchen and I'm training a fair bit. So today I clocked in at the heaviest I've ever weighed, 90.2 kilos.
So what you're experiencing now, Chris, is this weird thing that a lot of people have to go through, which is being careful and tracking what they consume in order to sort of be abs lean.
I'm tracking what I consume.
Tracking what you consume, still just...
Dude, my fitness pal at the moment is 200, 260, 60. And I'm hitting it within like 20. So that's like 2, 4, 2, 5.
Is that fat, carbs and protein? That'd be an interesting day.
Oh God, it'd be awful.
It'd be a very loose day. Yeah. So what you are tracking? To be honest, it's not really changed for me.
You're very disciplined You're very disciplined.
I am. Like I struggle with. I get really hungry. Like I'm quite a big person. I move around quite a bit. I train. So and then like not eating very much food is quite difficult. But yeah, what do you eat? Talk us through a day of eating in the life of Chris.
Fasted until about 1 or 2 p.m. So I'm training at midday every day with my flatmate at the moment, Lewis, which is good. Super, super fortunate. Eleiko, anyone who actually anyone who still needs kit, like dumbbells, kettlebells, weights, plates, bars, stuff like that. Eleiko, because they're Swedish and they're just going about their daily business as is normal, they're still delivering everything. So just head to, I think it's like eleiko.co.uk. Just Google Eleiko.
Have you seen their April Fool's thing?
No, what was it?
Oh man, their April Fool's things are the best of any company. So it's a portable barbell in a box. But go on their Instagram, have a look at it, and then scroll back on all the previous. Like they did a waffle iron, they did square plates, and it's really highly like produced the imagery. So you look at fuck, like square plates. Is that better? Like, should I be eating square? Yeah. And then you're like, oh, hold on.
Especially if it's a Laker, you're like, oh well. I mean, this is so premium.
It must be true. Yeah. So if you need kit. Final thing. Here's my final thing for everyone.
Hold on, you're doing your day of eating.
Sorry. So fasted until 2 p.m. post training, then shake and banana, some sort of fruit.
Like.
Shake, jump up and down, wriggle myself around. So that is bulk powders, beef isolate. Then my day's cooking's already been done. That's part of my morning routine, and that will be 3 chicken breasts and 260 grams of rice with vegetables, salad, and some sort of sauce, and that's just split into my Tupperware for the day. So eat those as the day goes on. Probably 1 barbells or 1 sort of protein works crunky type snack thing to keep me going. And then an evening time is granola with vanilla barbells milkshake. And that comes out at pretty much bang on. Getting the protein in is the challenge. Like 200 grams of protein a day it doesn't sound like much, but it's quite sort of challenging without nailing
it's a kilo
supplementation.
Of meat, isn't it? Like,
it's easy when you have eat lean cheese.
Fuck yeah, it is.
When you basically when your cheese is essentially a protein supplement, it's and cheese is nice, obviously.
And cheese is good. Here's my final thing. Bob Mortimer on Instagram. Have either of you seen him? You know who Bob Mortimer is? British comedian, older fella. There's Mortimer. Oh, you'll both recognize who he is. He's been in tons and tons and tons of stuff. He's created a character who only exists on his Instagram, and it's called Train Guy. And he must have just heard this like British entrepreneur on the train talking about all of the different things that he does. So he's now, all that his Instagram is him doing these pretend phone calls to people to face, just like this, like not produced at all. I promise you, it's one of the best series that I've ever seen. Wouldn't surprise me if it becomes like a proper TV show. And it's just fucking phenomenal. So I'm going to leave you, if you haven't seen that already, there's a rabbit hole of probably 30 or 40 posts. Yeah. 30 or 40 posts. And then there's this other guy called Jeff Linton, the Lintonator, and he comes on sometimes and talks about it. But look, propanefitness.com/modernwisdom or propanefitness.com/calculator if you are interested in looking at pivoting online or getting some free workouts to do at home. No more jumping squats. And if you've enjoyed the episode, give me a message and I can screenshot it to the boys and make them come back on, because the reason they did is because I got hassled so much. Like, share and subscribe. You already know what to do. Gentlemen, we did it. Thank you.
Wonderful.
Cheers. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.